What's happening, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. It is Sunday, March 30th, and we have the final two games of the Elite Eight going down tonight. So we're going to break down each of those games here in this video. We'll talk about which way that I'm leaning for those games as well, and then any plays that I put in officially myself. There's going to be a link right down there in the pinned comment, so make sure you check that out. It's going to send you right over to the Guy Boston Sports website, and that's where all of my final plays will live. So guys, let's not waste any time. Let's jump right into the action. Smash the like button down there for me if you can, and hit subscribe if you haven't already. Now let's get into that first matchup. We got Tennessee taking on Houston. Houston coming in as 3.5-point favorites, and that total way down there at 123.5. So right off the top, let's start with that total because it is low, right? It's way down there, but I think I still personally feel more confident looking in that direction than I would, and looking at the under too, than I would looking at the side. But we're going to dive into that. I'll explain that a little bit further here. Tennessee is going to be coming into this one off of that impressive win over Kentucky. You know, that's a team that had beat them twice previously on the season. But, man, they never had a chance in this one, right? And I had two plays on that game. I was on the Kentucky money line. I had a little spread parlay favoring Kentucky as well. It was RIP quickly to both of those plays, right? Houston's coming off of a sweat of a game, man, against Purdue, on the other hand. Purdue essentially had a home court in that one. They were playing in front of a very Purdue-heavy crowd, right, at Lucas Oil Stadium there in Indianapolis. So it makes sense, about an hour away from where they play. But Houston was able to pull out a 2-point dub, man, with a perfectly drawn up and executed inbound play for an easy go-ahead layup with under a second to play. So adding to the instant classics, right, for March Madness. That was another good one last night, and that one finished. That was late, man, after midnight when that one finished. So if you were able to stay up and catch that one, you caught a classic. On the year, Tennessee, man, they've been very guard and backcourt reliant offensively. They look to Ziegler early and often to generate some production on the offensive end. But if Houston can get to him, they stand a great chance of taking this one, in my opinion, and they should be able to. This is one of the best defensive backcourts in the nation. Houston's got a ton of playmakers. They got a ton of guys along the perimeter that can knock down the three. Looking at them on the offensive end, they shoot just under 40% from deep. That's good for fourth overall. Tennessee, on the other hand, they're shooting just 34% from three. That has them all the way down at 145th overall. So overall, it feels like both of these teams defensively are about as sound as it gets, right? You got Tennessee coming in at third for adjusted defensive efficiency. You got Houston sitting at first. The Cougars just simply have more firepower on the offensive end. Houston's 5-1 in their last 6 games as well when playing against top 25 ranked scoring teams. Or rather, top 25 ranked scoring defenses, excuse me. But then we look at Tennessee, right? They've gone 6-3 to the number in their last 9 games as a dog. They're 18-11 against the spread coming into a game after a win. Houston's just 16-5 with 1 push in that scenario. Volunteers outside of their conference, 10-5 against the spread. Houston just 6-7 and 1 push as well. Houston is ranked 3rd overall in the Ken Palms. Tennessee's just 2 spots back at 5th. So look, this is a good Tennessee team that can't be discredited by any means, right? While I think Houston ultimately has just enough more weapons to get the job done, I'm not going to be surprised at all if it's another game that they have to sneak by with a 1 or 2 point dub, meaning I'm not going to be surprised at all if Tennessee covers this line here. I honestly wouldn't be shocked if they won outright. You know what I mean? It's just one of those games where I truly feel like it can go either way. These are very, very good teams that match up pretty well. So it's one that I'll probably, like I said, I'll look to stay off the side because it's kind of a toss-up. And I would just look to the total because even though the entire world is looking at the over right now, there's so much money coming in on that over. I can't ignore the pace of these teams, right? We just cashed with Houston on an under against Purdue, and we took that one with the mindset of the pace involved with those teams. Now, yes, that line was a whole 8 points higher than this one, right? But like I said, we took that with the mindset of the pace involved, right? Even though both of those teams shot the ball well from deep through the course of the season, with the pace that they played at, we would need them both to come out pretty much lights out to be able to get over that number that it was set at 131.5, and they did. They landed at 122. So now we have that same Houston team taking on a Tennessee squad that doesn't shoot the 3 ball nearly as well as Purdue. And they play much better defense than the Boilers, and they play at an even slower pace. You know, Purdue sits at 300th for adjusted tempo. Tennessee is closer to Houston's 360th at 349 themselves. So I like the under in this one. I locked it in already at 123.5. Now, I took it at minus 110 on FanDuel. I see it down at minus 105 now. So hop on that while you can. All right, next up, I'm looking at Michigan State taking on Auburn. Auburn is 5.5-point favorites in this one. Total sitting at 147.5. Both of these teams are going to come into this game with some momentum. They both overcame double-digit deficits and came from behind in each of their last matchups. Look, Michigan State, they followed suit with what we've seen from them for much of this tournament. Although this time, man, it took them a little longer to get things going, right? Had me sweating out my bet for sure, that -2.5 that we cashed on the hook. Look, it was Jay Fizzle down there in the comments, man. We were both talking about it back and forth. Like, did that last shot go in? Dude, I watched that shot. I watched it live, then I replayed it a couple times on YouTube. I had to watch it, I think, 3 or 4 times before I finally saw that ball, the way it bounced off the back of the rim, it looked like it just kind of fell flat off to the side. It fell flat right through the net. I just kept missing it, man. We were both sitting there tripping like, it's 73-67. How's the score 73-70? So, man, I hope a lot of you bought a point like I did, man, and played it at 2.5, because if you played it at 3.5 and lost it like that, I feel for you, and just know that I've lost many bets that same way, man. So, but anyways, let's get back into it. This has been the name of the game for Michigan State throughout this tournament, right? They start off slow. They're feeling out their opponents. They get these early deficits, and then they follow that up with great defense down the stretch. They start forcing turnovers. They start getting stops in crucial moments. Players start stepping up in crunch time on offense, right? And then speaking of such turnovers, I'm going to get off topic one more time. Man, and speaking of turnovers and players stepping up, though, did y'all see that fast break dunk for Cohen Carr? Like, my man got up. That was at the end of the game, man. They got to steal and pass it to him, and then, man, he cocked that ball way back and slammed it down, man. That was sick. That was sick. But anyways, he finished with 15 points. Jace Richardson was huge down the stretch for the Spartans as well. He led them on overall for the night, 20 points on 6 of 8 shooting. So like I said, man, it's been the same story for Michigan State throughout the tournament. Start slow, pick it up late, force turnovers, great defense. Players start stepping up offensively. So we're going to need to see more of that from them, but I don't think, man, they can't like, well, we were midway through the second half before they started turning it up against Ole Miss and really like started getting the momentum back on their side. If you do that against Auburn, I feel like they're going to be down. The deficit's going to be too much. There's no way that they're going to come back. But we start looking at the Auburn side of things, man. They were down early to Michigan in their last game, and they kind of looked to be in trouble at times as well. There was a little span of time there where I'm like, man, Michigan's going to upset them and reach the Elite Eight. That is insane. But ultimately, Auburn went on a 31-8 run that helped them take control of that game. They pulled away from the Wolverines after that. Broome put up 22 and 16, and we saw 20 more points coming off the bench from Pettiford. So Auburn has some weapons as well, man. And then on paper and statistically, they do look like they have the edge in this one, but I'm not so willing to write off Michigan State quickly, right? Not that quickly. Not when I'm catching 5.5 points with them as well, man. We do know Tom Izzo is on that sideline still, right? And the month still happens to be March. Yeah, man. Look, this man has been to 8 Final Fours as the Spartans head coach, and as a 4 seed or higher, he's gone 36-10 straight up in the tournament. So, yeah, like I said, I'm not so willing to write off this Michigan State team just like that, right? Defensively is where they can win this game, and it's how they've won so far through the tournament. We were just talking about that. We all know by now that this offense doesn't generate a lot of looks from deep, and the Spartans have done well so far, slowing the pace of games down, keeping things close enough with strong defense and forcing turnovers in crunch time, like I mentioned, and that's helped create some extra scoring opportunities. That's something that you have to do when you don't shoot a ton from the outside, and they've done just that throughout this tournament so far. Auburn, on the other hand, they shoot the 3 ball at a 36% clip. Outside scoring is a huge part of what they do offensively, but Michigan State is 3rd in the nation defending the 3, giving up just 28% shooting from deep. And Michigan State, they also have the height and the guys down low that can bang around down there with Broome, man, and they can get physical with him. They can make things tough on him in the process. My concern with Michigan State in this one is, will someone catch fire on the offensive end at the end of the game again? Like, how many times can you get this lucky where guys just start, they're just super clutch down the stretch? And it's not like this Tigers team has a bad defense themselves, right? They're pretty good defensively themselves. Michigan State is 4th overall in the Ken Palms as far as defensive rating. Auburn isn't far behind, man. They're still top 10 themselves, sitting at 8th. While that's all enough to kind of scare me away from looking at Michigan State on the money line at plus money for the upset, right? It's not enough to get me to look past a Tom Izzo-led team in the Elite Eight catching points, man. It's just simple as that. So, and look, I'm not discrediting Pearl. I'm not discrediting Auburn and how great this team is, how great of a coach he is, and what he's done with this organization. but I'm taking Sparty with the points in this one, man. There's just no other way to cut it. Until they're knocked out, it's Sparty time in March, man. Like, it's Tom Izzo on the sideline. If I'm catching points, I'm taking it every time. So that is going to do it, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed the show. I hope you found it helpful and useful. And if you did, please do not forget to smash the like button down there below. Helps us out a ton at the channel. We all three appreciate it greatly. And that's going to do it, man. I hope you guys have a great day. Hope you all cash out. I'll see you back for the Final Four.